What is up, y'all? Within today's video, we're going to be talking about some TikTokers like Skepi, Fanita, Drew Afalo, I think that's how you pronounce her name, and also Trisha Paytas. Y'all, this was blowing up on TikTok, and I was like actually invested in this because I'm going to go over the full details of what Skepi had said within his TikTok, and I have so many thoughts and opinions about this. Just letting you guys know from the jump, though, I probably will be talking about this in the podcast that we're going to be filming this coming weekend, so you guys may hear about it next weekend, because I really do want to get my homegirls' take on this too, because I'm just so curious to see what people are saying. Because honestly, y'all, if you guys have seen the TikTok I'll play with in today's video, actually, you know what, it's not going to be the original TikTok. It's going to be like somebody had saved it and then turned it into like a little gossip video, because I didn't save the original one. I had thought that he was going to leave it up and kind of like stand by his word, but he ended up deleting the TikTok. And when I was like reading the comments of this, I saw like the comments being really against him, but then I did see the ones that were for him had thousands and thousands of likes, and I'm like, y'all, I think this is a perfect example of like right message, wrong delivery type of thing. I'm gonna explain everything within today's video, and I do have some things to say about like Trisha Paytas too, because I do think this plays a really big role into this too, because Skepi was in Trisha Paytas's podcast before. I have a lot of thoughts about this. Obviously, as you guys know, I have opened up on this channel several times, me being 300 pounds, how difficult it was for me to find clothes. I don't know if you guys have remembered, like I had always said, I'm like, Fashion Nova is literally the only place that can like, I can buy clothes. Like even during this time, y'all, when I was 300 pounds, now I'm down to 228 pounds. So now I could pretty much buy clothes almost wherever. But when I was 300 pounds, I couldn't even get clothes at Shein. Like their plus size did not fit me. Like I ordered their 3Xs and I was like, oh my God, like I would probably need like a 5 to 6X in Shein's clothing, has to where like Fashion Nova was the only brand that I fit in. So I completely have so many thoughts and opinions about this whole entire topic, but then I'm kind of like, okay, I understand the message that he was going for. It was just delivered really wrong, which y'all, I have been there, I have done that. There has been some things in my head that I want to say before and it just doesn't come out right, and I feel like that was the moment for him. But we're gonna go over everything within today's video. I will play the TikToks for you guys so that you guys know the full gist of it, so that way you guys can gather your opinions and let me know what you guys think about it too. Speaking of the podcast, we do upload new I was gonna say TikTok. So we do upload new podcasts every single Wednesday. We are uploading TikToks too, y'all. By the way, I know a lot of people that watch the podcast are like, no, we like watching the podcast because we like long form content. So we are posting clips onto TikTok, but we are going to be doing TikToks too. So we're gonna be doing exclusive things. We're gonna do like mini podcasts in a like TikTok version, like where we're at the car. Do you know where we're in the car? I mean, say for example, when we're about to go out and just like something comes to mind and we want to talk about it really quick, we are going to be having like little mini podcasts on TikTok too. So make sure you guys are following us on TikTok. It's at The Ramble. So make sure you guys go ahead and check that out. I won't ramble too much today. Let's go ahead and get into the topic. So I want to go ahead and start this off by playing the TikTok from Skepi that he did delete, which I honestly thought he would have left up. I think that this would have been good for him to leave up and not necessarily delete. I know a lot of people were saying, what the hell, like we really liked you, but I really do think that this was a learning lesson for him to kind of like choose his words a little bit more carefully, and I think that he should have just left it up to kind of like make a, you know, follow up to it, not necessarily delete it, so that way people can see his original form. Because the reason why I'm saying this is a lot of people did stitches to it, so therefore they're making a stitch to a portion of his TikTok. And I specifically do, I'm gonna play his whole TikTok so that you guys can see it. I specifically want to touch on that topic for just a little bit, is that people were taking 5 seconds, because that's how much time you could do from a stitch, is 5 seconds of it, of his like 2-minute long TikTok, and taking that portion and reacting to it. Like people like Tess Holiday, Fanita, Drew Afalo, like just so many other big TikTok creators. And I'm like, look, I feel like it's really unfair to take 5 seconds out of a 2-minute long TikTok, because he did follow it up with way better words, and I understood the meaning of the second half of his TikTok. If I didn't go to watch it, being so straight up with you guys, I actually saw a stitch from it first. I want to say from a plus size TikToker, y'all. I don't know her name, but she's the first one that I had saw it from, and I was like, oh no, like that is not cute. Like he's coming across very fatphobic, and I honestly was like, he doesn't seem like the type of person to be so like degrading and like seem so rude, you know what I mean? Being that he does do a podcast which is pretty much all about self-help and like building people up, so I'm kind of like, why would he choose those words? But I went to go watch his TikTok, and then I was like, oh, he just started it off kind of bad. And I think what it was is he started it off kind of abrasive, do you know what I mean? And then it carried into a positive message, but people obviously weren't listening for the positive message. They just saw the first portion of it and was like, oh, this is wrong. So go ahead and check out this TikTok right here.
A brand not making your size in something does not give you grounds to talk degrade the brand. Brands are allowed to want a certain look and image with their products. They are allowed to make things for the people they want to make them for. I've been seeing too many people talking shit recently, and it's me off. People are allowed to have preferences, and brands are allowed to create an image with what they want and have a specific type of person wear what they have. Not everybody needs to be catered to by everything and everyone. And this is a lesson I had to learn when I used to think clothes just weren't flattering. No, babe, the body wasn't flattering. But a lot of brands don't make my size and a lot of shit still. And if a piece of clothing is not flattering on you, it doesn't mean the item or product is not flattering or is not good. It's not made for you. I'm a size 16 shoe. A lot of brands don't make my size. Do I waste my time and lend my energy and focus to what I don't want and what I can't have and attacking brands for not making my fucking size? No. Every single human being is very powerful. You have to be careful with where you put your attention and your focus. For you to stick your attention and your energy on what doesn't work for you, what is not made for you, and what brands don't want you to wear their you're never gonna have mental space to think and look for and discover brands that are made for you. You can't keep focusing on what you don't want and find what you do want. Get your fucking attention off of the shit that's not for you and the things you don't like. I'm never gonna find my size in shoes that I like if all I'm doing is sitting here crying how most brands only go to a 13. I'm gonna go buy the shoes that go to my size. But key point here, if my focus is nothing but stuck on the brands that don't make my size, I'm gonna feel nothing but frustrated, irritated, singled out, and pissed off. That's a waste of your energy. Being a human being is a very valuable experience and it's a very precious thing. Don't waste your time on not for you. Don't let useless nonsense irritate you.
Okay, so as you guys can see from right there, y'all, I really do hope that you guys did watch the full TikTok because I do think the end of his TikTok really did have positivity to it, and I think that's what he meant to do. I think basically the whole premise of his TikTok was to tell people like stop focusing on the negative and focus on the positive, which I agree with. I think that if you go out into the world and you're looking for a problem, you're going to find a problem. I think that's what he was saying. I think that he was saying if you choose to go out there when you're shopping and you have this outlook of like nothing has my size, then yeah, nothing's gonna have your size because you're going to these places that you know don't have your size, as to where there are several places that do have your size. I understand his message. His message was basically rooted in positivity, but the beginning portion of his TikTok was really negative, honestly, just keeping it real. And I feel like him making that whole entire comment saying that the clothing isn't flattering, no, it's the body that's not flattering, I feel like that's low-key kind of triggering. Do you know what I mean? Because all of us bigger people out there know it's like, damn, we already have enough body image issues as it is. Like, shopping as hard as it is, so like why do we need to be told again like, oh no, it's the body that's not flattering? It's kind of like, okay, we already know that. Do you know what I mean? And I want to say this, I feel like there's this whole like discourse, right, as to where the whole body positivity movement is teaching everyone unhealthy habits. I think that's where things are a little bit misconstrued. I think there are people out there, say for example like myself, I could eat, say for example, a medium pizza, right, and I'll gain 2 pounds from that. But say for example like my uncle, right, I have an uncle who's like stick thin and he could eat 2 medium pizzas and not gain 1 pound. I just think that sometimes people's bodies are made this way. Do you know what I mean? And I think that it sucks. Obviously, yes, we should like strive to be healthier, work out more, eat healthier, but sometimes it's really, really hard for those of you out there who struggle with gaining weight. It's like, damn, like I swear to you, it takes me maybe 2 weeks to lose 2.5 pounds, as to where in 2 weeks I could literally gain 7 pounds. And I think that that sucks, you know? So it's kind of like, damn, we already know how difficult it is to be fat and then let alone be fat and shopping. Do you know what I mean? Like, damn, it's a struggle. So I feel like him choosing words like that really does suck. But I do want to say this, and I guess maybe I'm playing devil's advocate here. I understand his message. I think within his message, it was rooted in positivity. I just think that it was delivered wrong, because I think his whole message was saying, this is just my opinion of it, and I watched it through several times, because I feel like a lot of people that were commenting on his video weren't really watching the full TikTok. If you really watch the full TikTok, basically what he was saying is, if you choose to see life in negative lighting, you're going to see negativity everywhere you go. What he was saying is, if you're a plus size individual and you go out there to shop and you choose to go to these stores, like say for example, like Victoria's Victoria's Secret, I think they had been called out before for not carrying plus size, right? Because they don't want plus size models on the runway. If you're plus size and you choose to go to Victoria's Secret and you're like, oh my gosh, they don't have anything in my size, when realistically you can go to Skims or you can go to another lingerie, Savage, do you know what I mean? Where you know that they carry your size. Focus on the positivity and not the negative. I think that was his whole message. I just think that it was lost in translation, basically. Do you know what I mean? With his choice words at the beginning of it. And that's where I think things got a little bit messed up. Like, I understood his end message, because I am a firm believer that if you choose to go out into the world and see negativity, you're going to see negativity everywhere you go. So why focus on the negative? Why focus on these brands who are not creating things in your size? Why don't you go out there and focus on the brands that do create things in your size? I think that was his whole message. But some of his words obviously were a little bit triggering and obviously bothered a lot of people. And I'm going to keep it real with you guys. When I first saw that too, I was like, damn, how does he have like a self-help type of podcast? How does he have this like uplifting podcast and he's, you know, choosing words like that? But honestly, at the end of the day, I feel like all of us as humans make these mistakes of, like, say for example, I have something in my head and it just doesn't come out of my mouth the way that I mean it in my head. Do you know what I mean? I feel like we all have done that before. And I think that people were eating him up on TikTok. And I specifically do want to talk about Trisha Paytas about this, because I didn't watch her full podcast, but I did see a clip of it on TikTok to where she was quoting something that happened from his TikTok. And this is where I say people really need to, like, look, you guys know, when it comes down to things on the podcast, I feel like things that I say obviously are headlines. Say for example, I don't remember, but I feel like Trisha Paytas, who has had him on her podcast before, she should have had his words a little bit like more correct, because this is actually a quote from her TikTok. She said this. She said he said that the clothes are not ugly, it's your body that's ugly in the clothes. That's exactly what she said. And I'm like, he didn't say that. Like, it's totally different like that. Do you know what I mean? I feel like there's a difference between flattering and ugly. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like she obviously is making things just a little bit worse in that aspect. But I do want to say this though. I feel like everybody is entitled to their opinions. I feel like a lot of people were like, Tess Holiday was coming out there too and making comments about it. I feel like people are missing the point as to where he was saying that brands can do whatever they want to do, which is true. But I feel like us as individuals, say for example, if I really, not that I ever would shop at Tom Ford, but let's just say for example, I really wanted a Tom Ford suit and I'm like, damn, they don't make my size. Why should I sit out there and like bash them? Because obviously that's not going to change them. Clearly they have been making these sizes for a long period of time. Tom Ford knows that there are plus size men out there and plus size people who want to wear their clothing. If they don't want to do it, screw them. Like, I'm not going to pay them any type of mind. Let me go to a brand that does. Do you know what I mean? I would wish in a perfect world that like everyone would make all size inclusive clothing. Do you know what I mean? Like, humans come in so many different sizes and shapes that it's just kind of like, okay, it's really not that hard to make things plus size. I feel like brands such as like Skims and like Savage have really set the standard with this, showing people that, look, you could make sexy clothing in bigger sizes and you could make any type of clothing in bigger sizes if you really wanted to, but some of these brands just don't want to do that. And I think Leo's whole message on this was, don't pay those brands any minds, focus on the ones that do. But obviously we are in a little bit of a movement, I would say right now, as to where we would want these brands to carry more size inclusive things. But the truth of the matter is, these brands know that there's big people out there. They just are not wanting to create the bigger clothing. And I think that that's kind of like the harsh reality of this. But a lot of people were bringing Fanita into this. You guys, I think this is so ironic. Recently in a video I just talked about Fanita, how much I really like her. And I think that it's unfortunate that people were, oh my gosh, y'all, in the like search bar of every single Leo Skepi Stitch video of that TikTok, it was Drew Afalo and it was Fanita, like Fanita's reaction, Drew Afalo's reaction. I'm like, everyone was pressuring them so much that it became a search bar on TikTok. And I think that that's where people need to like calm down. Like, I don't know what it is. I speak about this on the podcast several times. Like, people need to stop trying to force people to speak up about something. Everyone's like, well, you're friends with him, you need to speak up. And it's like, damn, not everybody should be pressured to have to speak about these things, especially when these people have already made their viewpoints very clear. Like, Fanita had just made a video saying that it sucks that brands don't make size inclusive clothing. She had just made that video like a day before, so a lot of people were thinking that Leo Skepi's video was in response to hers. Maybe it was just a coincidence of the time, or maybe it was. Do you know what I mean? But I think that people shouldn't force other people to like make responses to things. Do you know what I mean? And especially, I'm just keeping it so real with you guys, like, being that I do have my homegirl on the podcast now. If you guys were triggered by something that she said, or if she said something that was really offensive that you guys didn't like, and you guys were trying to pressure me to say something, I would have a conversation with her private. I'm not gonna have it with her publicly. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like that's so unnecessary. I feel like it's so unnecessary to sit there and have like a individual, you know, come out and say things. And it's like, if these people are friends in real life, they should have the opportunity to speak privately. And if they want to keep it private, they can keep it private. Do you know what I mean? I feel like when it came down to it, obviously, because me and my homegirl do have like a 2-hour long podcast every week, that I feel like we would obviously talk about it publicly, but I feel like people shouldn't pressure people to do that, you know? Anyways, y'all, in my personal opinion, I really do feel that he made a bad choice of words. But honestly, I feel bad for that because I have done that so many times in my life, y'all. I've made this comment before, and I'll say it to you guys again because this is something that always sticks with me, that my friend, she has a 8-year-old son, and there was one time we were drinking in her garage. She has like a nice little garage setup, right? And her son was just acting so rambunctious. And I don't want to blame it on the drinks or anything, because honestly, I would have made this comment sober. But I had said, damn, your son makes me never want to have kids. And I was like, oh, first of all, this has been my best friend of like 18 years. Literally, we've been so close. I was like, oh my gosh, as soon as I said that, I was like, oh my gosh, girl, I am so sorry. Like, I didn't mean it like that. And she's like, bitch, I know you didn't mean it like that. But what I meant was like, oh my gosh, like, kids take a lot of energy. They require a lot. Do you know what I mean? But the way I said it sounds so rude and so harsh. And I'm like, damn, I didn't mean it like that. Like, in my head, I really was just kind of like, woo, taking care of kids is a lot of work. Do you know what I mean? And I said it so rude. So I'm like, yo, I feel like at the end of the day, people need to stop like trying to like, I don't know, like cancel people. I feel like at the end of the day, we have all said some messed up things and some things that we regret. But make sure you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions about this. Make sure you guys let me know moving forward, because a lot of people were saying that they feel unsafe now with Leo Skepi. I'm just kind of like, y'all, everyone is gonna make mistakes. And on top of that too, I want to say he's like 26. He's like 26-year-old. Like, he's still young. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like people need to be able to not fear cancel culture and be able to be like, okay, I made a mistake. Let me learn from it and grow from it. But it's probably one of those things now to where the next maybe like 3 months of videos that he makes, people are going to be commenting. And I just think that that's really unfortunate. I feel like people need to learn to be a little bit more graceful, because I feel like a lot of times people that are calling people out have made mistakes too, and they just don't own up to them. That's just my opinion, y'all. Make sure you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions about everything. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, Girl Scout.